Why do we as Christians stay broke? My entire life, I've had to worry about money. I thought I had given the Lord everything. And the Lord, he said, DeAndra, do you think I need your help? I didn't want the Lord dealing with the dirty parts of my life. It's passed down generation after generation after generation. My kids come and they try to give me a hug, and I say things like, I don't have time for that. He said, but DeAndra, you need to learn how. And the Lord was like, this is why you will always be broke. Why do we as Christians stay broke? Why can't we make money generally as a whole? I know there are some Christians that make good money, right? There are some of us that do that. But most of the times when I meet a Christian, they're pretty much struggling, working paycheck to paycheck. You hardly see a Christian just in church who is wealthy, who has things going for them. And I think it has to do with these two things that I'm going to talk about in this video. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to gloss over it because I've already talked to y'all about it. I'm going to link the tithing video above. This is the video where I talked about how I stopped giving my tithes for 6 months. If you haven't watched that yet, please go watch that. That's when I stopped giving my tithes for 6 or 7 months. And the Lord gave me a revelation about giving that completely changed my whole viewpoint on tithing. Look, you just have to watch the video. You just have to watch the video. But pretty much that video basically told us is that, you're going to want to give from your heart when your heart is like Jesus. The more you fast, the more you pray, you're going to want to give. That video talks about giving. That's only one half of the equation when we're talking about being rich. So if we want to talk about not being broke, actually making money, giving is one half of that. You must give. God is a giver, right? Jesus is a giver. And when we're made in their image, we're going to give. And the more you give, the more you're going to what? Receive. And so the Lord, speaks to me right after that tithing video. And he reminds me of something that he had told me previously. He had already told me back in, I believe it was August of 2025, that my YouTube channel will start taking off around March 2026. All right. However, there was another part to that he spoke to my heart and told me. He said that my YouTube channel would take off, but he also told me that I would need to leave my job in March 2026 as well. So my YouTube channel will start taking off. You need to leave your job at that point too. Mandatory requirement for what he had to do in my life. And that was the part that was hard because the job that I had was paying our bills. It was paying a good portion of it. Was allowing us to live. I had been in that job for a year. March 2026 made it 1 year anniversary for me. And it was hard for me to leave because, once you've been in a job for a year, things are starting to, come together. You're starting to, be part of the ecosystem. If you leave, people are going to notice you're gone because it's a lot riding on what you do. But the Lord told me in advance. He told me to do it. I did not do it. I disobeyed God. He held up his end of the bargain by allowing that video to take off, right? He held up his end of the bargain by pretty much giving me a sign that, look, this is me. I'm being for real with you. But I decided that, I couldn't just leave. I couldn't just up and leave. And so I didn't leave. I disobeyed God. And in April, the first week of April, I ended up in the ER. The week before I ended up in the ER, the Lord actually spoke to me while I was at my desk, and he said, this is going to be your last week here. And I was a little unsettled by that because I was like, what do you mean this is going to be my last week here? I have no reason. I haven't put in a 2 weeks notice. I haven't done any of that. What do you mean? That Sunday, I was in the ER, and I did not go back to my job after that. Um, that's in another video. I'm not going to get into details about the ER or anything like that. That's in another video. I'll link that above as well. The day I went into the ER, though, that Easter Sunday, was the day that the YouTube Partner Program accepted me, and I became a YouTube partner. The next day, on April 7th, I got an email saying that Blue Cross Blue Shield wanted to renew a commercial that I was in. So they wanted to give me some money, and I ended up getting $5,000, just a $5,000 check from there. So as I was contemplating like what the Lord was speaking to me and how he was telling me to move, I was beginning to see that the Lord was providing even in the gap. You see, the Lord was showing me that I got you. You don't have to worry about any of this. And still, I doubted him, right? And so I ended up leaving. I didn't even give a 2 weeks notice. I sent them a message the next week. I sent them a letter the next week telling them that I quit. And there was pretty much the Lord coming in and swooping down and saying, look, it's time for you to go. Like when I give you a time frame, when the Lord gives you a time frame to leave, you need to trust that he knows what he's talking about, and you need to get up out of there, whatever it takes. So anyway, I leave the job. I'm resting at home. I'm doing all this stuff. While I'm resting, I'm thinking about all of the things the Lord has been telling me about what to build, right? How to move now that I wasn't in this position. And I began to remember like some of the things that he told me, but I couldn't really put anything together to come up with a business idea, right? And so I started thinking to myself, Lord, you need to help me. So I ended up having this vision one day when I was in under the power of the Spirit, speaking in tongues one day, just really crying out to God. I saw myself in a vision, walking to the feet of Jesus. He was sitting on his throne, and I was carrying a bunch of stuff, and I was just crying my eyes out. It was just a bunch of just pieces, broken pieces. And I laid all of this stuff at Jesus's feet. And in my head, it was like a bunch of stuff that he had told me, like over the course of the past couple of years, things that he had been trying to impress upon me to start a business and all of this, but I didn't really know how to put it together. And so I laid it all at his feet, and I was just like, Lord, take it. And Jesus got down off his throne in this vision. He knelt down and he began to just put things together. And after everything was put together, he gave it back to me. So after I had that vision, my ideas started to come together, like in the natural, as I started writing. In May and in June was spent just me working on my business because he was giving me ideas. He was helping me to strategize. Literally, he's been my CEO, right? And so I'm building all of this stuff, but for some reason during this time frame, I can't really get anything like on the market to sell. Like nothing is sitting with me where I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is ready to be sold. Like I'm okay with this. I can't get to that point, right? I just can't do it. Like every time I'm building good stuff, right? And I have good ideas, but nothing is really just coming together for me, right? And so I'm sitting here wondering about that. And I'm like, Lord, like, what is this? Like, I remember this happened just a few weeks ago, probably like a couple of weeks ago, where I was crying out to the Lord and I was like, Lord, I got all these ideas. I built these products, and something is just stopping me from getting it out there. Like something is stopping me from getting out there. Can you help me? What's going on with me? And the Lord, I remember I was in a prayer service, and I was speaking in tongues during this prayer service because at our prayer service, we speak in tongues, y'all. And so I was at this prayer service at church, and the Lord began to show me a vision of myself again. The same vision where I was just a couple of months before. I'd had this vision where I was bringing all this stuff to Jesus. Well, he showed me the vision again, right? And he showed me standing there, and he said, DeAndra, look down at your hands. And I looked down at my hands, and I noticed that my arms were still full of bills that needed to be paid. And so basically, I realized that I thought I had given the Lord everything. I thought I had given him all of the broken pieces, all of the things that I had to deal with since I had obeyed him and left my job. But I really hadn't given him everything. I had kept some of the things to myself. I had kept some things hidden, the overdue bills and things. I'd kept all of that hidden to myself for me to work on myself. And the Lord, he said, DeAndra, do you think I need your help? Why didn't you give me that stuff? And I remember in that moment falling to my knees and crying out loud. And in the natural, I was just speaking in tongues like crazy, y'all, because I realized that was not letting God be God. I was not letting God be God. A part of that was me being full of pride. I was not letting God be God. And the Lord looked at me and he said, you know, you're very good at giving. You have no issue with giving. He said, but DeAndra, you need to learn how to receive. He said, how can I give you what I want to give you if your hands are so full? He said, how can I give you what I desire for you to have if you don't have any room to take it? He said, how can you know what I'm speaking to you and what I have for you if you are so focused on the distraction that's in your hand? If you are so focused on making it work on your own? And I began to think about all of the times over the past few months where I was trying to figure out, okay, if the Lord doesn't come through for me, if this doesn't work out, if people don't buy what he told me they will buy, if people don't buy my products that the Lord told me to build, what can I do on the side? Maybe I can get a job. I know the Lord said leave my job, but maybe he'll be okay with me getting a job just for now. Again, like in my head, I'm constantly trying to figure it out. I'm constantly trying to figure it out, right? And the Lord began to show me that in a lot of ways, I was like Martha, right? Martha always trying to figure out what needed to be done, but never really sitting down to listen to Jesus and his word. In other ways, I was like Peter, right? When Peter said, oh Lord, you won't wash my feet. Y'all remember that in the Bible? Peter said, Lord, you won't wash my feet. And the Lord was like, if I don't wash your feet, Peter, then you can't have any part of me. But I think a part of Peter saying that was because Peter didn't want the Lord looking at the dirty parts of his body, the dirty parts of his life. Similarly, I didn't want the Lord dealing with the dirty parts of my life, right? The anxiety, the distrust, the worry about money that I've had my entire life, right? My entire life, I've had to worry about money. My entire life, I've seen the people around me worry about money, right? That's always been a thing that we're worrying about money. It's passed down generation after generation after generation where you just got to worry about money. You can't really trust anybody. You just have to worry about it. You just have to take care of it. You just have to always have a plan B and C and D just in case something doesn't work out. And the Lord began to show me, look, I need you to let go. I need you to stop striving. And I think about all the times that I was striving as the oldest child of 7, always trying to do, because people need me, right? My siblings, they need me to come pick them up after practice. I'm the oldest. They need me to make sure that they eat some days when my mama got to work late. I'm the oldest. My child needs me when I had her out of wedlock and her dad wasn't there in college. She needed me. I didn't have much, but she needed me, right? So I went from being the oldest of 7, them needing me, to me having a baby almost immediately in college, her needing me, to me going and getting married later on, my husband needing me, the rest of my kids needing me all the time, over and over, ever since I was little. Don't know how to stop. Always giving, always doing, always being there. And then I stop and think, you know what? I don't know how to receive. My kids come and they try to give me a hug, and I say things like, I don't have time for that. I got to wash dishes. I got to clean up this living room. I got to do this. I got to do that. I don't have time. People come in and they try to say, well, let me help you out. No, I got it. Let me just take care of it. It'll be quicker if I do it. And I realize I feel like I'm always needing to get things done, and I never sit down to receive. And the Lord was like, you can't receive from me, just like you can't receive from your family. Your family is trying to give, they're trying to love, and you're blocking it. Similarly, I'm trying to give to you, and you're blocking me. He said, I'm trying to give you strategy, and you're blocking me. Saying that, oh, if it don't work out, let me put this other plan into place. He said, do you think I'm going to give you a plan that's not going to work out? Do you think I need your help, DeAndra? How prideful of me to think that Jesus needs my help, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, Jesus. Wow, this is still in my hands, and I'm scared that I don't know how to let go of it. I'm scared that I don't know how to trust you completely. I need this broken off of me, right? Because I don't want to continue to live in a place where I'm always striving when you're trying to give me rest and let me receive, right? And I thought about what the Lord has been telling me to do all along. He's been telling me to do it all along. He's been giving me the instructions all along. For the past couple of years, he's been saying, just get on YouTube. Don't think about it. Just speak. I'll be with you. I'll give you the words. And I just been like, nah, I need to kind of make a plan. I need to make sure the words are coming out right. I don't want to be rambling. And the Lord was like, nah, I don't want you making a plan. I just want you to speak under the power of the Holy Spirit. I don't need you striving. Just do. It's in you. And then he's telling me what I want you to do to make money is something that you've been doing for years. He said you've been doing resumes for years on the side. That's what your business plan is, to do the resumes. But I'm sitting here like, but the resumes, that's just so easy for me to do. Help people to get a job. That's easy. Why don't I do something harder? Something that's going to stress me out, like doing hair. I know how to do hair. Yeah, it stresses me out and it's hard work, but I should probably do that. Or I should probably just go and do Uber Eats. Yeah, I be out all night and I hate that, but it's probably for the best. Or I should probably just go get another job. Yeah, I know the Lord said don't do a 9 to 5. He got something else for me, but it's probably for the best. Me thinking that I know better than God. And God is sitting there like, do the thing that comes easy to you. You just said that doing resumes comes easy to you. Do that. That's my plan for you. And I'm sitting here like, but Lord, what if it don't work out? What if it don't work out, God? Maybe I should have a plan B, plan C, plan D like I always have. And the Lord was like, this is why you will always be broke. If you continue to make your plan B, C, D, do everything but what I'm calling you to do, this is why you will always be broke. And I'm not just talking about money. He wasn't just talking about money. We know that's the thing that we think about mostly, but he's not even just talking about money. He's talking about broke in what he's calling us to do, broken our purpose, right? Broken our relationships, right? Because he's telling us over and over what to do. who to contact, who to be in alignment with. It's the question is, are we listening? Are we receiving it? So I want to ask you something today. Look down at your hands. What are you still holding that's stopping you from receiving what God is trying to give you? Because only half of what we need is in the giving. A lot of us are givers. In my tithing video, was a lot of y'all saying, oh, I'm always going to give to God. Always going to be a giver. Never going to hold my 10% and rob God. Okay, sis, now, question number 2. Can you receive? That's why we're staying broke, y'all. We don't know how to give, and then we don't know how to receive. Let's learn how to give. Let's learn how to receive. Let's ask God for guidance on both of those. And I am looking forward to what the Lord is getting ready to do in this season, because he is dropping some gems. Okay. Give and it will be given to you. That's the Lord saying, give and I will give it to you. Meaning you need to be ready to receive. Give and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what I want for you and all of us. So that us Christians can stop being broke. Until next time, I love you guys so much. Peace. Bye.